Hello everyone, this is Bobbin Threadbare, and welcome back to L.A. Noire. Well, Homicide Desk is over, and now we're on to Vice. And you will never guess who our new partner is.
Phelps, welcome to Vice. This is your new partner, Roy Earl. Take a seat. A special request was made to transfer you to Ad Vice. We need a man with your kind of starch on this desk, son. We have 2 dead Negroes found in an apartment this morning on Yucca Street. Number 6358, apartment 5.
We got better things to be doing than wasting our time on 2 dead junkies.
Did I ask your opinion, detective? 2 men dead on U.S. Army issue morphine. That makes it an Ad Vice case. Beat it!
Yes, sir.
Well, he's got a bone to pick.
You and the lieutenant have some history?
You could say that. We used to be partners. So, you're working with the big boys now, Cole?
I guess so, Roy. I thought homicide was the primo assignment.
That may be the case. I asked for you personally, Phelps. I had to pull a few strings to get you over to Ad Vice. How does it feel?
The lieutenant seems to think I'm doing okay.
Okay? Don't get humble on me, Phelps. You're doing great. You're the department pinup boy. War hero and crime fighter. What a combination.
I can assure you I'm no war hero, detective.
Alright, it's a new desk and it's a new outfit. This is the standard one, doesn't have any bonuses for it. So let's pick out one of the ones that does. Oh, that's a 2-tone suit. Matches Roy's.
Let's rouse some hopheads.
It's hard to roust them when they're already dead.
You know the way. You can drive. Nice car, Roy. Is it department issue?
No, this is my sled. You can't be seen slumming it in a Nash if you're in Vice, Cole. Meanwhile, we got needle freaks kissing it goodbye all over Central Avenue.
Feels like that conversation could have gone on for a little longer. I am missing out on a few of them because I'm doing the auto travel. So you're not hearing everything they could be saying in the car.
They really picked a prize shithole for our first date.
Any ideas?
You and Mal are good buddies, right? So go talk to him already.
It's up the
Let me
stairs,
through. I just want a
detectives.
quick look is
Around
all.
the corner, last door on the left.
Round the corner first, of course.
How bad is it?
I'm all done.
Come on, you can tell me.
Your show now.
Still a prickly son of a bitch. Some things never change.
Going to church doesn't make you any...
Carruthers,
Phelps?
I've been reassigned to Ad Vice.
What have we got? 2 stiffs, overdosed. Been dead a couple of days.
Government issue morphine. We use the same syrettes in Okinawa.
Fucking Negro junkies can't take supply this pure.
You know these guys?
I know of them. The younger one's a 2-bit horn player by the name of Cornell Tyree. The other one works in distribution. Started using a little too much of his own product, and Jack D took exception. He wasn't born that ugly. His name's Lamont. Tyrone Lamont.
So who's supplying the drugs?
That's easy. Whoever knocked off the wharves in San Pedro. Jack Dragna, Mickey Cohen. Dope's been all upside down ever since Jimmy Utley started the long walk at Quentin.
You talk about it like it's a system.
It was a system. But those days are long gone.
We are supposed to uphold the law.
Yeah, and we do. But we can't change people. The truth is, everyone wants a license to get a little dirty now and then. Our job is to keep it manageable.
That's how you see it?
See it any other way, and you better forget about being a vice cop.
Can we get on with this? Today, preferably?
It wasn't Cole's idea to be a vice detective. You know, Roy does have a point.
Tyrone Lamont, not even 23 years old. Small chance in life is probably better than no chance.
Never the same.
Black Caesar, from the joint across the street.
These clowns lived on popcorn?
Must have been messy eating. Looks like something was taped to the bottom of the cup.
Seems just big enough for a Surrette, perhaps.
Took his jolt and drifted off. And I suppose his friend wasn't in any condition to notice that he had stopped breathing.
But with him also having stopped breathing, yes.
Some kind of fruit, a bell, and wind. Strange doodle.
It looks like, slots. Slot icons for a slot machine.
I wonder what's the correlation between love of the needle and love of the
See
music.
it all.
Another special order from the Caesar.
Sure are eating a lot of popcorn. More precisely, spilling a lot of popcorn. How about you?
I swear, count of those creatures.
A bit heavy for an empty cup.
Oh, there's something there. Caught a glimpse of it. Yep, like that. And then I pressed the wrong button. Whoops.
I think we're getting that fixed right over the counter in broad daylight.
Man, look at all these cups. I could at least throw some of them out when they're done, Jesus.
One Surrette is enough to knock you out for combat trauma. Two of them will stop your heart.
And now that we're out of homicide, the head and arms aren't quite as interesting as they were before.
Another day, another
They say only the good die young. I hope it was true in your case. Who is JJ? And why do these two care about his taste in music?
Also, who carries their wallet in a front breast pocket?
The Emperor across the street appears to shift a lot of popcorn. Let's shake him down.
He's not an emperor. He's the first among equals. Looks like dawn has come while we were busy in the apartment there. Yeah, like you said, the Black Caesar is just across the street, so I'm gonna drive.
Right. Let's wrap this up before I actually have to work overtime instead of just clanging for it.
You're a true inspiration to us all, Roy.
And suddenly Rusty doesn't seem so bad by comparison. At least he was honest.
Help you? Detectives Phelps and Durrell, LAPD. We're inquiring into the deaths.
Hand over the popcorn, numbskull, before we kick the door in.
Get that son of a bitch!
Yeah, you set him off, but you make Cole do the running. Nice, Roy. Nice.
Stay on him.
Gotta make sure I don't get too close behind him. So does nobody carry gravel on the rooftops around here? Because that's sort of a thing where I live. Gravel on the rooftops. It helps break up the profile of the ground, I guess. Helps disperse rain and snow. This just looks like it was tarred. Oh, he's gonna sock me.
Eddie, help me out, man. They're trying to kill me. You gotta help me out.
What the hell going on here? Morgan! That you?
You picked the wrong cop, you fucking animals.
I tried to stop in time, but it didn't take.
All right, if you really want to dance.
You're making me and my partner over there mad.
Now, why couldn't I do a ground knockout?
Stop resisting, asshole. You're only making it worse.
What's your name?
Morgan.
Half an answer is no answer to me, asshole.
Fleetwood Morgan.
Keep an eye on him, Roy, while I take a look around.
Keep very still, Fleetwood. Don't give me an excuse to shoot you.
He wants to shoot you. Oh, there's something in there.
These number slips might affect your tone, Fleetwood.
And it's got the full address on it, too. Unlike that torn one from earlier.
Should be stamped on the reverse by the issuer.
Maybe Morgan can give us something on this Jones character.
Well, that's 2 leads right there. Now I just need to confirm that the heroine's here. Man, those burgers are gonna be so burned. I'm not sure they're in the eggs. I'm trying to select one of those popcorn buckets in the back, but it's not taking. Ah! This, on the other hand...
Morphine. Might not be filling, but I'm sure it's satisfying.
About time we heard what Fleetwood here has to say, Cole.
Advice?
Get the kid's story. He's a small fry, but he could give us someone bigger.
We're inquiring about the deaths of 2 men in an apartment across the street, Fleetwood. We want answers.
Of course. I'll do my best, mister.
Will you?
You sold the drugs to Cornell Tyree and Tyrone Lamont.
Oh, I sell fried steaks and black-eyed peas.
You're lying, Fleetwood. We know that you supplied them.
I don't know nothing about no drugs. All I do is my 10 hair flipping burgers. Can you prove any different?
Why, yes. Yes, I can.
Flipping burgers and strapping jolts of morphine to the bottom of popcorn cups, Fleetwood. Now, I want the truth. Who supplies the drugs?
Cat by the name of Armstrong Edwards. All right, brings the stuff around about once a day.
I know Armstrong. He's a 2-bounce, strictly small time. Who's he working for, Fleetwood?
Jermaine Jones.
We have you for the hop and resisting arrest. Tell us about the numbers if you want our help.
Look, the numbers are the white man's tax on poor folk. All right, now, what else you want to know?
We have an address on the slips. We're gonna go down there now and rat you out, Fleetwood. Tell whoever it is that you rolled over and gave them up.
No. Look, I've been cooperative, okay? Now you gotta help me some.
Fleetwood, I'm going to speak personally to the judge on your behalf.
A name, Fleetwood.
Oh, he's a real slick dude. Wears a hat and swings a cane. Goes by the name of Merlin. All right, I ain't got a last name.
See you at the station, Fleetwood.
But you're gonna help me, right?
Of course, kid. You helped us out. We always like to repay a favor. Can you see that Fleetwood gets a nice cell, Wallace? One with a window and a nice fresh pillow.
You know, Roy is so slippery, I don't know if he's being sarcastic there or not.
They've been talking about on the radio.
Also, did you notice that it took us to add Vice to actually investigate a minority person's death? Homicide covered white people only.
How's that just been paid look about him?
Operator, give me R&I.
Putting you through now.
Cole Phelps, badge 1247.
How can I help, Detective?
I need an address on a Jermaine Jones musical booking agency.
Just a moment, Detective. Jermaine Jones. The office is listed as 5528 Santa Monica Boulevard.
Thanks, ma'am.
I think he's a bit of a gangster.
Now the real question here is it Merlin or Jones who's the bigger distributor? Who here is up to their neck and who is just up to their chest?
You drive. I need to go over the case notes.
I heard you were in the Blue Room the other night. Shouldn't you have been at home? Tucked in bed with the wife and kids?
Where I go is your business?
It couldn't have had anything to do with a certain delightful but damaged German girl, could it?
I don't know what you're talking about, Roy.
Foreshadowing.
Look at this place. I'm guessing not much talent comes out of this talent agency.
Yeah, a door to a back lot with just a few names by the door.
Here we are. Jermaine Jones, 238.
It's not very promising. Ah, name's right on the door, too.
Hey, who let you in?
Jermaine Jones.
Don't bother getting up. Your flunky Fleetwood Morgan just snitched you out.
I wasn't planning to. Now, you think you could tell me who the hell you are?
LAPD. We'd like to take a look around.
The hell you will, motherfucker. You carrying a warrant?
No, do we need one? Search the place, Cole.
What do you think you're gonna find, policeman? Huh?
Well, how about this one thing in the room that has a spotlight on it? That seems important. Before I look too close.
You ain't allowed to do this. I got rights.
Since it looks like a radio, just gonna remember 275 FM.
Scott Phantom. Fine radio. Shortwave, AM and FM. My father has a Scott.
Alright, let's set it to FM. Set the dial to 275. That should do. And turn on the volume. Well now.
No wonder this thing is sounding a little muffled, Jermaine.
Brennan! Wilt! Get over here! Take these assholes apart.
You heard the boss.
I don't look that into it.
Is this the best you got? These mugs are dope to the eyeball.
Come on!
All right. You really want to dance?
Now I get the knockout.
God.
Sit tight, asshole. Pretend you're at the parlor getting your nails done. Cole, you better search through that stuff in the radio before you brace our friend here.
Lamont and Tyree are dead. At a stretch, the DA could have you on felony murder for supplying stolen government money.
Tyrone and Cornell are dead?
They're on a slab downtown with the ME examining their last meal. Popcorn washed down with morphine.
You offering me a deal?
I have a pet judge who hates blacks. He'll give you 50 years for your two buddies. Another 30 for stealing from Uncle Sam. You'll be out by the time you're 110. Imagine the changes you'll see.
I get the message. How much is this gonna cost me?
Who supplies the morphine?
I don't know nothing about that.
Really gonna be difficult at this point.
So we make you for all of it. You're the fall guy from Mickey Cohen.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm a colored man. You see any Jew boys running around here? I collect my cut. Lenny the Fink controls the action.
Lenny who?
Lenny Finkelstein, Mickey's dipshit brother-in-law.
What is the link between the morphine and the numbers slips?
There is no link. You're wasting your time here.
You're lying to me, Jones. Tell me about Merlin.
Who? I don't know anyone named Merlin.
Do you now?
Fleetwood Morgan will testify that you and Merlin are expanding out of illegal gambling and into drugs.
Okay. So I buy from a cat goes by the name of Merlin Oddie. Merlin runs the lottery for the Jew boy. The Fink has a new line in drugs. You squeal me out, I deny ever telling you.
Tell us about Oddie.
Oddie's a gambler. Fronts points on football games, fights, the horses, numbers. Chicken crossing the road. Motherfucker will take the odds on anything.
What's the score with Ramez removals?
I brought a radio from there. That's all.
Very particular radio.
I think Ramez is part of the distribution chain, Jermaine.
And what have you got that could prove I use Ramez that way?
Sadly, nothing.
You're off the hook, for now. So when we visit Ramez removals and tell them that we want a special bookcase or wardrobe to hide our dope in, they're gonna be copacetic?
And when we tell them their good friend Jermaine sent us and said they could do a nice deal for the LAPD.
I could use an act like you two. Those fucks Abbott and Costello are on the slide. Hollywood could use another couple of deeply unfunny white bread humps like you.
Very good, Jermaine. You have character. Now cough it up.
Ramez is a good friend of Lenny the Fink. You getting the picture?
Take them all in.
We have a deal, right?
We're after the morphine. I'll speak to the DA on your behalf. You have my word.
Good thing he asked Cole and not Roy. Oh hey, the phone's lit up. I should probably do something about that.
Phelps, badge 1247.
How could I help, Detective?
I need an address for Ramez Removals. That's Ramez, R-A-M-E-Z.
Just checking. Ramez Removals, corner Sunset and Wilton. Owned by a Jose Victor Ramez.
Thanks.
That's the cop from the newspaper.
Suddenly became a different person again. Weird how that keeps happening. Anyway, let's go,
You're behind the wheel.
close up some loose ends. Tie up some loose ends. That's how the expression goes.
How was Hopgood doing, Roy?
Who?
Marlon Hopgood, your informer. He was my corroborating witness in the Bishop case.
Oh, right. Marlon. You're not still sore about that, are you? You made the case without him.
He was an accessory to the abuse of the girl, Roy.
As long as Hollywood exists, it's going to be chewing up starry-eyed little girls. Marlon was small time. You caught the big fish. And look how much good it did your career.
It's talking about the last traffic case, in case you don't remember. By the way, I believe the numbers racket is basically a lottery that doesn't have state or federal approval. So it draws numbers. That's why it's a numbers racket. I could be mistaken. I mean, I didn't look this up ahead of time, so... But it seems pretty obvious from that, from what we're finding.
Detectives Phelps and Earl, LAPD.
The name's Merlin Odie. I run a strictly legitimate bookmaker's detective.
So that's not an illegal wire service that your colleagues are running? And the number slips that I've been picking up all morning with this address on them have nothing to do with you?
I pay my kick to the Wops, and they pay their cut to the LAPD. You can't go shaking me down.
You're a loudmouth motherfucker, aren't you? Anyone ever tell you that criminals are supposed to keep their mouths shut? Stay where you are while we look around.
Once again, there's something under a spotlight. It's a slot machine. If you can just hold the slots, how easy can you get with this? We're not even feeding this thing any coins. And again, perhaps this slot machine isn't made to get any money. Oh, there's one of the things we want to hold. There's another one. Another Ramez removal.
I think Ramez's place is our next stop.
And another pile of morphine.
With this quantity, we're looking at a high-level trafficking charge.
Don't know why he would put his slips back here, though.
Thanks for the paper trail, Merlin.
I guess because they're illegal. The hell, there's the wire service.
Well, that's quite a win for a dime, Merlin. You better start
God
talking.
damn it. Get after him, Phelps.
Give it up, Audie.
Sure are a lot of people making a break for it today. I guess they're not used to getting squeezed or something. Probably could have saved some time there by cutting around.
Stop right there, Audie, or I will shoot. Still captive. you get him, give him one for me, detective.
Why do they always act like it's obvious? Oh, he got knocked over. Yeah, why do they always act like it's obvious that Cole's a detective? I mean, even if he is a pin-up boy with his face on every billboard.
All right, relax, motherfucker, you got me.
Nice wand, Merlin. Too bad you couldn't pull off your vanishing act.
Make your joke, smart guy, but don't damage that. That there's a valuable antique.
You don't say. Maybe you ought to have a look at this, Cole.
Oh-ho. Not a sword, but...
Adi has Jose Ramez in his pocket. Ramez must have forgotten his lucky numbers.
That's a lot of money, by the way.
Would you like to calculate the odds on you going to prison for a very long time, Merlin?
I'm not going nowhere. I've paid my contributions, and I'm not getting hustled by you.
We're only interested in morphine. Army surplus morphine. What do you have to say about that?
I heard about that. Big robbery on the ship. Ain't my line of work. I prefer something with a sporting outcome.
You prefer, certainly, but...
You distribute for Lenny Finkelstein. You're a patsy for those gangsters.
I don't know what you're talking about. I distribute for the LAPD, motherfucker.
Yeah, sass me. That'll end well.
Jermaine Jones gave you up as his supplier. He says that you're Lenny's sissy, and that you'll do whatever Lenny tells you.
Me? That nigga's a dead man. I moved the dope Jose brings me. Jose Ramez? I ran a clean numbers racket until those two motherfuckers went into the dope business.
Ramez seems to owe you a lot of money.
We all owe somebody.
The truth, Merlin. Do you know that stealing that surplus is a federal beef? That means that all the payoffs will count for nothing if the feds get involved. Do you want that kind of feed?
How do you think you can tie someone like me into a major operation like that?
Well...
Looks like I was mistaken. So it has nothing to do with the proceeds of the morphine shipment?
It's a gambling debt. The Heaps took over the wire service and screwed me. Now I just do what I'm told. Run numbers and shift dope. Jose's no different. He just thinks he's a big man that can run up tabs.
You're not the guy we want, Merlin. But we're taking you in. Maybe some time in a cell will help you remember something worthwhile.
Fuck you, and fuck you. You'll never put a charge on me.
Take this bum in. Take the long way around. And don't be gentle with him. You got that?
Yes, sir.
Man, we are really cleaning up this town today. I mean, a good percentage of them will be back on the street because they paid off the cops, but still.
You can drive.
LAPD. We're here to see Jose Ramez.
What's it about?
Routine inquiries, sir. Can you tell us where we can find him?
You missed him. He was in the delivery truck, just went out.
God damn it.
That was unnecessary.
11K calling KGPL.
Go ahead, 11K.
11K requesting assistance in pursuit of narcotic suspects aboard a GM delivery truck. Commercial license David Charles 457.
Roger, 11K.
Hit him! Clear this asshole off the road.
What is this lunatic think he's doing?
Oh, Jesus.
We're not playing around here. Take this clown off the road. What's next? The kitchen sink? It's no good. We need to get closer.
You're supposed to be, like, right behind him, so that furniture has a chance of actually hitting you, but well, screw that. I'm trying to give Roy a good shot here.
steady and I'll try to bust his tires.
That means being to one side.
He's going left onto Hollywood. Get alongside him and take him out.
I am! I'm not scratching your paint just for funsies here.
Getting close. Steer him off the tar.
How many tires is he running on?
That's it, Cole. You did it. His truck's history. Pull him out of there.
Well, it's 2 fewer now. Holy crap, look at them go.
Give it up, LAPD.
Jose Ramez, you're being arrested on suspicion of supplying illegal drugs, resisting arrest, and for malicious damage to LAPD property.
Hey, hold your horses. I supply furniture, not drugs. And that thing back there, that was an accident. Some furniture came loose. That's all.
Save it for the DA, Chico.
Keep an eye on him. We're gonna take a look around inside.
Hey, they have actual probable cause for once. So apparently this is a maze of a warehouse rather than an actual storage facility.
Where's he been delivering? And who's been delivering here? Any repeat business in the ledger, Cole?
Why is Ramez buying so much ice?
2 40-gallon blocks. And who's picking up?
Merlinati is buying a lot of furniture.
Merlinati, of course. This is a long, complicated chain here.
Couldn't you think anywhere else to meet, kid?
We like to choose our ground.
What is that supposed to mean? Huh?
It's something Wellington said at Waterloo. The guys who win normally choose where to fight.
We're gonna fight, kid? The 2 of you versus my boys here? I love the fight game. I went a few rounds myself. You and your friend, he looks tough, but I don't like your chances. Nah.
We don't have to fight, Mr. Cohen. We have you an enfilade.
What the fuck is that? Some kind of steak?
It means my men are in cover, but that they can still shoot you. If those were my orders, you would all be dead now.
Are you kidding me? This is a $200 coat. You got some balls.
Kelso.
I hope you didn't scratch the paint of my new Lincoln.
These guys are getting out of the dope business, Mr. Cohen. You'll have no more problems from them. The morphine is going to disappear back into the sea.
Hang on. You're getting hasty. There's a lot of dough on offer here.
Thanks for the offer, Mr. Cohen, but we are going to have to politely decline. After today, the morphine is no more.
This isn't the way we normally do business.
I'm aware of that, Mr. Cohen.
Call me Mickey. Are you aware of the risk, huh?
I'm giving it to you straight, Mr. Cohen. There will be no more morphine. We made a mistake and would like to back out gracefully. If you come after us, we will be forced to come after you.
You've been polite up till now, so don't stop making threats.
I don't make threats, Mr. Cohen. I'd like to thank you for your time.
Is that guy your idea of muscle, kid?
There's something you should know about Jack, Mr. Cohen. He killed 6 Japs hand to hand with just a bayonet and a K-bar knife. His outfit, the 6 Marines, killed over 100,000 Japs in 3 months in Okinawa, and he was in the thick of it.
Those Japs are little guys, right?
Yes, Mr. Cohen. About your size.
Man, lots of threats going on in this one. Sorry, not threats. Promises. Alright, but that's about it for the office area in the back here. Now we need to start exploring this furniture maze. See if we can't reach the back.
What's with the puddle? Where's that trail of water coming from, Cole?
It's actually a pretty nice way of showing you which way to go.
There must be a way through the back. Welcome to Furniture Village, where taste comes to die.
That being said, I apparently seem to have missed the spot where you can walk through the end here.
A pile of junk. My mother would be in heaven.
Where's the way through from here?
I bet this is the kind of crap you love, Cole. 20 years out of fashion?
Do I have to double back here or something? Well, it looks like I do. Based on the puddles. Ah, yes.
Smells of old people in here.
Here we go.
This is useless. I can't see a damn thing. You need to get up onto the floor above.
Looks like these big rectangular boxes are what the ice is coming in. But they're also kind of in the way. So yeah, we're up here to operate the crane. Luckily, you only actually have to do one thing with this, so it's not actually that tedious. Just line it up, take this one box out of the way, find a good place to drop it. A good place to drop it. There. That works.
Get down here. There's a cold room in the back.
Oh. Interesting that they let you walk through that door. Doesn't actually go anywhere or do anything.
I think we know where the water's coming from. You're gonna want to see this.
Oh my.
There's something frozen inside.
So, how do we break this open? Oh wait, Cole's got his gun out. Yeah, there's nothing in the back here, so let's just wait for me to realize that Cole's got his gun out. Ah, there we go.
Well, I'll be damned.
That worked surprisingly well.
This must be how they transport the morphine.
Well, lucky it can be safely frozen then, I guess. What, no crate?
LAPD, leave it right there. Everyone out of the vehicle and put your hands up. There's something in the ice. He's making a run for it. Let him have it.
This again, really? Damn it. Wrong way.
Move, I've got you.
Oh, he had a gun. Well, luckily, so did I.
Take them all to Hollywood Station. Have the ME and tech services go over this place.
Where will you be?
Hunting polar bear.
Even Roy's gotta lift his eyebrows at that one. I mean, he's not on Roy's level yet, but he's trying. Bless his heart, he's trying.
Can you drive to this one?
We got ground to dig.
Is Audie serious? Is the LAPD turning a blind eye to narcotics?
Keep your shirt on, Phelps. Drugs are prohibited. Doesn't mean people don't want to take them. Limiting supply doesn't mean that we have limited demand.
I understand that. I know that the average Joe needs to unwind a little, let his hair down at the end of the week. But morphine? Heroin?
It's important to demonize hop, Phelps. Looks good in the papers. But when all is said and done, it's just another chemical like booze. A lot of people in high places think we're doing the city a favor by keeping the dope rolling into Central Avenue. Donnelly certainly believes we need to keep them anesthetized.
Better jobs and opportunities would go a lot further.
Will you listen to yourself?
Go figure Mr. Fire and Brimstone Captain Donnelly would also think of, using actual opiates on the masses.
The factory is closed. It's been for years. Not much call for ice anymore with all those newfangled refrigerators.
Save it for someone who wants to hear it. How many janitors carry a gat?
That's one way of announcing we're here. Give it up, Finkelstein. Your brother-in-law will get you a good lawyer.
My brother-in-law hates my guts. Come and get me if you want some daylight through that suit of yours.
There's a gun in the trunk. I wanted to go out and get it. Apparently, the game doesn't want me to.
Throw out the guns.
You're clear.
Eyes open. It's around here somewhere.
Make your call!
Your fucking coat!
What's the matter? Can someone please just kill these assholes already?
Clear me some space here! I got you now, motherfucker!
Ah, shotgun to the face. Oh.
How long do you think you can hold out?
Alright, what do we got?
Give me some goddamn cover!
What are you complaining about all the time, Roy? Like 10 feet behind me at all times here.
Clear me some space here!
Now he gets adventurous. Now he runs forward.
You're covered, Phelps.
Let's see if I can't
Stay down.
So anybody gonna pop their head out here? I guess not. Yeah, I don't think that's how it works, Finkelstein.
You're clear. Go.
Someone ran downstairs. You can tell because the arrow's gone. Takes care of that guy.
Stay in cover.
Alright, back with a Thompson here. Wait, why did he drop the Thompson? I didn't do that on purpose. I guess it's for the cutscene here?
They're all dead, Finkelstein. Leave the weapon and put your hands up now.
Put my hands up. Sure. Then what? Cop to peddling the dope? Cut a deal? Ship me off to the queue? As soon as I get locked up, some old friend puts an ice pick above my ear? No thanks.
Only one other way out, shitheel.
So it comes
Oh, the poor guy.
Look around. Now that we finally got some peace and quiet.
Flopped over like a rag doll.
I think I've had enough ice for one day. Until the scotch I pour myself as soon as we get out of here.
Oh, wow.
This stuff has got to be worth at least $100 grand.
So Finkelstein robbed the ship?
My guess is Lenny took it off their hands. This is big. This is gonna make the papers, Phelps.
As senior investigator, I'll do the talking.
That is a lot of morphine. There's even more on the ice down here.
Well, well, who would have thought that Roy Earl's hand-picked new partner would have turned out to be such a great case man? This is a good result, Phelps. As far as we can tell, Lenny the Fink was moving the morphine across the city and as far north as Frisco. This makes the feds very happy, and it makes Mickey Cohen look bad. I won't lie to you, kid. I like the headlines. I like them a lot. You keep this squad in the papers, and we'll get along just fine.
So if the feds hadn't been involved, would this case have even happened? Food for thought. Less damage than I thought. Much like how the homicide desk is mostly based around real-life unsolved murders, the Vice desk is mostly based around movies. Black Caesar, for instance, is the name of a 1970s blaxploitation remake of Little Caesar, a classic, groundbreaking 1931 gangster movie. However, I'm not going to be covering either of those today. Instead, I'm going to go with what's possibly the first Hollywood film to take a long, honest look at America's drug problem. The movie of the day is called The Man with the Golden Arm, which was also very much a groundbreaking film. The story about the story. When you think about the name Frank Sinatra, the first thing you think of is probably his career as a singer in the nightclubs and casinos of Las Vegas. And that's not for nothing. He did spend a lot of time and energy there, especially during his later years. Singing is also how he broke into Hollywood in the first place. He knew he wanted to sing for a living straight out of high school, and in 1940, when he was 24 years old, he got his first big break when he joined Tommy Dorsey's big band. Throughout the mid-40s, Sinatra had a fairly successful solo career, and also showed up in a few movies, usually in roles that let him sing. He also became a member of what would be called the Rat Pack, along with Humphrey Bogart. Reportedly, the name comes from a time when Lauren Bacall, remember her, saw her husband and his friends the morning after a night out drinking and called them a pack of rats. Sadly, Bogart died in 1957 thanks to esophageal cancer brought on by years of smoking. And after that, the Rat Pack was more or less a name for Sinatra's group of friends. The best-known members are Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr., but other recognizable names include Katharine Hepburn, Peter Lawford, Joey Bishop, and Shirley MacLaine. In the late 40s and early 50s, Sinatra's career was in a slump, but it came back to life in 1953 when he won an Oscar for a supporting role in the war film From Here to Eternity. He doesn't sing in that movie, but it did give him enough fame and attention to land a new recording contract soon afterwards. His next big film is the one we're covering today, which came out in 1955, and which earned him an Oscar nomination for Best Actor. In later years, he would appear in films like the original Ocean's 11 and the original Manchurian Candidate. The Man with the Golden Arm started out as a book, and the book was some rather scathing social commentary about how American society is designed to keep the poor man down. There are still plenty of elements of this in the film, but it's considerably toned down, much to the book author's dismay. Now, you may recall from my review of Intolerance that I don't appreciate it when a work tries to make up my mind for me. So personally, I'd say the movie is better off for making it more about person versus self and person versus others, and only implying the person versus society. The movie did also change quite a bit about the wife, though, and I'm not as certain that doing so was the best idea. Still, even without accusing society at large, The Man with the Golden Arm was very much anti-Hollywood establishment. Specifically, under the Hays Code, absolutely no illicit drugs or drug paraphernalia could be shown on camera, and it was especially taboo to show someone actually using drugs. It didn't matter whether the drug use was glorified or condemned. Exceptions were made for small-time propaganda movies like Reefer Madness, but even they were constrained by the whims of the state censorship boards. Following the Miracle decision in 1952, however, the Hollywood Production Office's word was no longer law. In 1953, Otto Preminger directed the adaptation of a play called The Moon is Blue, which is a romantic comedy about two guys who want to have sex with the same woman. Not marry, just sex. This was against both the letter and the spirit of the production code, so the MPAA refused to approve it. Preminger released it anyway through United Artists, and it became the first major successful release to not bear the MPAA-approved logo since the early 1930s. Preminger's next controversial release was The Man with the Golden Arm, and its success paved the way for modern films like Trainspotting, Requiem for a Dream, and Through a Scanner Darkly. The story. We begin with our protagonist, Frankie Machine, whose name is actually a coincidence, coming home to a beat-up, run-down part of Chicago. His first stop is a bar where a drug dealer is forcing a crippled war veteran to dance for a glass of alcohol, and the first person he meets is Sparrow, a flighty guy with thick glasses, who's busy dyeing a pale dog dark and complaining about how no one leaves their pets out for him to kidnap and resell anymore. For his part, Frankie is doing great, and assures everyone that the monkey on his back is gone now. He also brings in a drum, a gift from his prison bandmates once his sentence came up. His old dealer, Louis, offers to take him back to his place to get a hit of the old stuff, but Frankie turns him down. Louis takes him at his word, but the last thing he says is, "I'll be around." Frankie walks off with Sparrow and talks about how he's going to make it big playing the drums. He's going to talk with a guy who gets jobs for a lot of ex-junkies. But he's going to need a good suit for the interview, so Sparrow promises to find him one. Frankie then goes to see his wife, Zash, short for Sophia, who is confined to a wheelchair. She immediately smothers him with kisses and tears. She was very alone, she says, and Frankie's old boss, Schweifka, didn't pay her the money he promised, despite the fact that Frankie went to prison for 6 months because they raided his illegal gambling hall. Zash is very affectionate, but she becomes dismayed when Frankie talks about playing the drums now, despite how he explains that learning to play is part of his cure. She rather desperately wants him to go back to dealing for Schweifka, go back to the way things were, even though Frankie's rehab doctor told him that falling back into his old habits will very likely hook him on drugs again. Downstairs, Frankie sets up his interview, greets his downstairs neighbor, Molly, along with her pushy boyfriend, and then Sparrow comes by with a brand new suit he says he borrowed from a place that ran on the honor system. As he's getting dressed, Zash is even more demanding that Frankie spend time with her instead of going to the interview, and after everyone leaves, she stands up and watches them exit the building. Stands up out of her wheelchair. Now, I should note that there are people who use wheelchairs and have some limited mobility, but she doesn't struggle to walk, and it's not a good sign that she waited for everyone to leave and locked the door before standing up. Frankie stops by the bar again on his way to the interview and meets Schweifka, the final main character. Schweifka basically begs Frankie to take his job back without actually begging, but Frankie turns him down cold. Immediately afterwards, 2 cops pick Frankie and Sparrow up for shoplifting, forcing him to miss the interview and locking him up in the station jail. Schweifka shows up soon after and promises to get Frankie out if he deals for him again, making it pretty clear who tipped off the police in the process. Frankie reluctantly agrees, and he's particularly unnerved when a junkie in the same cell goes through a breakdown from needing a fix. During the card game later that night, Frankie's hands begin to shake. Sure enough, his old job has got him craving again, and he excuses himself for a quick smoke. Louis, who is at the game, follows him and offers to set him up again, but Frankie ignores him. Just like last time, Louis promises, "I'll be around." Frankie heads over to Club Safari, a strip joint where Molly works as a server. Turns out the two are close friends, and unlike Zash, Molly is actually supportive of Frankie's change of profession. Also, Molly's boyfriend isn't just pushy, he's also a hopeless alcoholic who uses her to get money. Frankie knows Molly deserves better than that, but he refuses to go any further with her himself, so long as his wife is stuck in that wheelchair. The next day, Frankie meets with his contact, Mr. Lang, who tells him that he's only giving him one chance, and if he screws it up and goes back on the habit, that's it. It's harsh, but considering how many recovering addicts he helps, he can't really afford to offer second chances. For the next few scenes, Frankie is waiting for a call from Lang, as Zosh keeps telling him to give up, and she sees an obvious quack of a doctor named Domanowski. Zosh takes this opportunity to describe the car accident that supposedly left her paralyzed. 3 years ago, Frankie was driving drunk and caused the crash, which is why he felt guilty enough to marry her and to stay with her despite her attitude. That, and she really does love him in her own obsessive way. But hearing her go on and on about it finally builds up enough stress in Frankie for him to return to Louie's place for a hit of what may be heroin or morphine, but which opioid it is doesn't really matter all that much aside from the dosage. Some time later, Zosh and Frankie are arguing again, and finally, Zosh tells him to take his drums down to his girlfriend and give her the headache. Frankie insists that he hasn't so much as spoken to Molly, but Zosh refuses to believe him. He goes out to the bar to get away from her and to get another hit, but while he's there, he meets Molly again, and she talks him into calling Lang back. Turns out, Lang lost Frankie's number, and he gets an audition next Monday. In exchange for her encouragement, Frankie talks Molly into dumping her bum of a boyfriend and sets his drums up in her apartment. A few days pass, and Frankie is finally feeling good. His cravings are down, he's focused on his drumming, and he's leaving both Schweifka and Louie behind. Unfortunately, the two of them aren't very happy about this, since they recently talked a couple of high rollers into joining their game, and Frankie was their selling point. They go up to Frankie's apartment to talk to him, but they only encounter Zash. When Frankie gets home after joining the musicians union, Zosh flips out on him once again and claims that Schweifka and Louie threaten both her and Frankie with physical harm if he doesn't deal for them, which isn't true. And once again, she demands that things go back to the way they were before. Frankie goes to the bar to confront the two men, and they give him the good cop, bad cop routine. Schweifka threatens to do some permanent damage, but then Louie offers $250 for one night of dealing, and Frankie accepts. Louie then talks to Frankie about how he gave up candy because the army discovered he was pre-diabetic back during World War II, and how the night before he officially quit, he gorged himself on $18 worth of candy, gorged until he was sick, all so he could look back later and say, for one day, he had had all the sweets he could stand. Of course, opioids and sugar don't work the same way, but it manages to convince Frankie to indulge himself one last time. Later that evening, he stops by Molly at work, and she notices his irises are constricted, a telltale sign of opioid use. Disgusted, Molly runs home, packs her things, and leaves without a word. Frankie responds to this by getting another fix. The long game begins, and we see Frankie at his best, bluffing two experienced gamblers out of $1,000 in a single hand. One of them suggests he might be cheating, but Frankie always plays a clean game. When Sparrow opens the window and some light comes in, Frankie realizes it's past dawn on Sunday, and his dealing days are done. Schweifka tries to get him to stay, but he walks out, and so Schweifka starts dealing instead. Frankie goes home to get some sleep, but before he can, the craving sets in again, and Frankie is forced to head back to the game to beg Louie for a hit. But of course, Louis will only give Frankie a hit if he continues dealing for them. However, Frankie's exhausted and he's going through withdrawal, and so he starts losing big. Hours later, desperate, Louis talks Frankie into cheating, but he's tired and jittery, he's never done a card trick for keeps, and the other players have been watching him like hawks. The first moment he tries something, they catch him, flip the table, and slap the shit out of Frankie. Everyone storms out, except Sparrow, and Frankie pushes him away. Frankie then goes to Louis's place to get that hit he promised, but Louis refuses since Frankie has no money and they didn't pay him since he lost the game. In response, Frankie smashes a chair over Louis's head and ransacks the place, looking for but not finding his drug stash. Frankie only stops when he realizes he's late for his audition, which goes about as well as you could expect under the circumstances. At the very least, Frankie maintains some dignity by walking out on his own after he screws up. Frankie goes back to his own place to try and find some money, but when he has no luck, he runs back out, narrowly avoiding Louis, who saw him go in and wants a little payback. Since Frankie slipped by, Louis doesn't find him, but he does find Zash up and walking about. Louis laughs and thinks that she and Frankie are running some sort of long con, but when he threatens to tell others she can walk, Zash pushes him over the staircase rail, killing him. Incidentally, this is probably the biggest single change from the book. In the book, Zash couldn't walk because of a psychosomatic illness, and Frankie kills Louis during their earlier scuffle. The book also ends with Frankie committing suicide because he's reached the end of his rope. Instead, in the movie, the police suspect Frankie because everyone still thinks Zash can't walk, and she refuses to tell the truth. Which isn't to say she sells Frankie out, mind you, it's just that she's a terrible liar. The cops decide to wait for Frankie to surface when he starts needing a fix, but instead he's gone to find Molly, to beg her for money the way her ex-boyfriend used to. Frankie is absolutely desperate at this point, and it's not very pretty. But then Molly's pushy ex-boyfriend shows up and mentions that everyone thinks Frankie killed Louis. Once Molly gets rid of him, Frankie says he didn't kill him, but that he'd probably say anything to the cops for a quick fix, what with the state he's in. Molly talks him into going clean, cold turkey, and Frankie explains that she'll need to be prepared. She needs to lock him in her room and hide everything sharp, because as bad as it's been for him, it's only going to get worse. What follows is... I don't know if I'd say the withdrawal scene is as good as Trainspotting, but it's up there. And of course, Trainspotting had Golden Arm to use as a reference. I will say, though, that Sinatra puts on one hell of a performance here. When Frankie is finally feeling better, the ex-boyfriend spots him looking out the window, and the police show up soon after. However, Frankie has already gone out to see Zash one last time before he turns himself in. He explains to her that he won't be coming back even if he beats the murder charge, because he obviously needs a completely clean break from his old life if he wants to avoid another relapse. This sets off Zash again, and in a panic she gets out of bed and runs to him just as the detective from earlier shows up. The detective only says, "Get dressed, Zash," but you can tell from his expression that he's thinking, well, now everything adds up. Instead of going quietly, however, Zash makes a break for the fire escape and then falls 4 floors to her death. The movie ends with Frankie and Molly walking away as Sparrow watches. Final thoughts. The Man with the Golden Arm was quite unique for the time in the way it provided a compassionate look at someone suffering from an opioid addiction. Frankie is in many ways as much of a victim as Louis or Molly. The victim of a disease so insidious it changes the very nature of the brain it inhabits. There's no dichotomy between mind and body, you know? Your consciousness and your personality are just as physical as your liver and your lungs. That's how addiction can be a disease, even though it's based in large part on the decisions we make. Free will and addiction, they they bleed into one another. The post-war period was marked by a rise in drug addictions. Not just to morphine and heroin, the first of which was used a bit too often as a painkiller for injured soldiers and led to Book Frankie's addiction, but also to other painkillers, to tranquilizers, to uppers and downers. Post-traumatic stress was poorly understood at the time, and so returning veterans with PTSD symptoms were often medicated with morphine and sleeping pills, much like what we saw in that one newspaper vignette. Dr. Harlan Fontaine may come off as a sleazy snake oil salesman, but he's also very much a representative of his profession at the time, especially considering the way Hollywood psychiatrists supplied the addictive pills it took to keep actors going during their unforgiving film schedules. Even today we've got problems with victim blaming when it comes to addictions. I mean, it's not like you're supposed to forgive and forget so that an addict can go on ruining his or her life until it comes to an untimely end. But if you go around condemning people for falling to addiction or falling into a relapse, you're not going to help them by cutting them off completely and refusing to support them when they need support to quit. You can't force someone out of an addiction, but at the same time, almost every recovering addict needs outside help and support to put an addiction behind them. Thanks for joining me again for today's film review, and I hope you'll join me next time for a film about the rise and fall of a gangster famous for a certain scar.